First, I want to thank Dr. Eckwurzel for defining the challenge that we have. To avoid surpassing 1.5 degrees Celsius, global carbon dioxide emissions would have to drop around 45% below 2010 levels by 2030 and reach net zero emissions by around 2050. And you know, I was thinking about those dates, and it may seem far off for a lot of us. However, I want to put it in perspective, and we have a special guest that I want to recognize here, Lincoln, who just came in, a name that both Democrats and Republicans can get behind, by the way. So by 2030, Lincoln will probably be just a teenager by then. And by 2050, he'll be in his 30s, relatively young and still starting his life. This question, this challenge is not about the folks behind the dais. It's not about most of the folks in the audience. It's about Lincoln and his generation and what we're going to do. In 2050, we're going to look back and say, did we do what we needed to get done to protect Lincoln and his generation, or did we let it slip past us and did it in an irrevocable fashion? So what is the cost? The cost is the long-term survival of the human race. That's the cost. And the threat is existential. And this is the greatest country in the world. We should be leading on energy policy, not defining it by the worst polluters on the planet. And so I think this isn't science fiction to get to these levels. I think we already know what we have to do. A mix of nuclear, solar, wind, hydro, and perhaps biofuels. Imagine utilities adopting all this. Electric plug-in cars and trucks and ships and planes and trains running on it. That we resolve the energy storage crisis, and we have a massive energy efficiency effort. So I want to ask each of you all, in a yes or no question, if we gave you the resources, with that mix, could we get to the 45% drop? First, Dr. Eckwurzel, could we get there?
If we start now, it's a challenge, but we have a chance.
I also want to ask Mr. Williams, could we get there if we had the resources with that mix?
We need to start now.
Reverend Woodbury, you think it'd be possible?
Possibly, but we must start now.
With the Lord's help, right?
Absolutely.
And Congress's help. And Mr. Duke, you think we could do that with that mix?
We could get it done. We could get it done cheaper and faster with a broader mix.
Mr. Powell, would it be possible with that mix?
I would second the broader mix, getting it done cheaper and faster.
And then Mr. Worthington, with the mix that I referred to, could we get it done?
I think you'd have to add carbon capture and storage to the technologies that you suggested.
Okay. Well, thanks for your opinions on that. It's my belief the only resource we really need is the will of this committee to meet the challenge of climate change now for Lincoln and his generation. And I believe we've been elected to do just that. With that, thank you, Lincoln, for being here today. Look at that. See, he's got his political career starting today. And I yield back, Chairman.